Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is McDuck33 and welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be starting somewhat of a mini-series, might be a series depending on how well this video does, but the entire idea is we're going to review old games. My reviews of the Far Cry games in 2021 went over really well. You guys really enjoyed them. And so yeah, I figured we could do that with some other games. So here we are with, as you can see from the title, the thumbnail, and the gameplay, Dark Souls 3, an absolute classic, one of the best games ever made in my opinion. So yeah, let's take a look at it today. So like the other rankings, we're gonna be taking a look at first combat, then instead of open world, we're going to go progression, because these games are not exactly open world. So after progression, we're going to go with, what was it? I think it was, like, graphics, and then I think that might be it. I don't know. I'm doing this unscripted, so we'll see how this goes. So, starting off with combat. Combat, as pretty much everybody knows in any Souls game, is hard. It's meant to be hard. It's meant to be punishing. However, I wouldn't say it's as hard as people say it is. People, like, make it out to be, like, one of the hardest games ever made. It's really not. I mean, like, yeah, it is pretty hard, but that's just because it's punishing. If you dodge at the wrong time, you're gonna get punished for it, and thus, you know, you're gonna die quicker. Or whatever. But, like, even still, like, it's just punishing. It's not difficult. Like, enemies don't have 8 times the health they would in any other game. It's just that, like, if you do the wrong thing at the wrong time, you're gonna take a lot of damage for it. So that's really the basis of combat in this game. It's a pretty simple combat system, I would say. R1 to attack, R2 to do a heavy attack, L2 to either parry if you have a parryable shield, or you can also go two-handed on your sword, which consumes less stamina, or I'm sorry, more stamina, than using your sword one-handed. It consumes less or more stamina, but does more damage, slightly more damage. It's very hard to notice, but on enemies where you're just barely not killing them, I recommend killing them with your sword while you're doing it two-handed. So doing it, and it does depend on what kind of weapon you're using, because holy crap, there are a ton of weapons in this game. We have short swords, long swords, great swords, straight swords, halberds, great axes, hammers, great hammers. There's tons of different weapon types. And the general rule is going to be the bigger the weapon, the slower the swing speed, and the slower or the more stamina it's going to consume. And generally going two-handed with these bigger weapons will result in faster swing speed and less stamina consumption. You can also do this charged attack while you're using any given weapon two-handed, and that will do a special attack. It depends on what weapon you're using, but it will do a special attack, and the longer you hold down L2 while you're in two-handed mode, assuming you do have a shield equipped. If you don't have a shield equipped like me, you can just press L2 and you will be able to do that other attack. So in general, the attack is going to be more powerful or some kind of useful utility. So yeah, I do recommend taking advantage of it. I didn't use it for the longest time and had such a hard time without it. So yeah, I definitely recommend using it. As far as those 3 bars that you see up at the top, you'll notice the first one is obviously health. The second one is this thing called FP. I don't exactly know what it stands for, but it's something points. I know that. I know. Very, very, very helpful. Yeah, it's like something points or whatever. And, that is all your magic stuff. So casting spells will consume, that FP bar, and doing your special attacks with your weapons will consume that FP bar. And then after that, stamina. So stamina, is consumed when you, roll, when you attack, when you use any kind of attack, and sprinting will consume stamina. So stamina is very, very useful and something that you should use a lot of, and will end up using a lot of. So generally, next thing is dodging. You're actually going to want to dodge like after an attack has already started. If you dodge at the beginning of the attack, you're going to get hit. So yeah. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, healing. Healing. So, you get a certain amount of health vials, Estus flasks, as they're called in this game. And those Estus flasks will heal you for a certain amount depending on the level of your main bonfire, which we'll talk about bonfires and your main bonfire in a little bit. But generally, you're going to want to save those. Just like, well, you're just going to want to save them. Because, yeah, harder enemies are going to obviously require more healing, assuming you don't dodge every single one of their attacks. So, yeah, we have spent almost 10 minutes on combat, so we're going to move on to open world slash progression. So, this game is not an open world game at all. Well, sort of. It kind of is an open world game in that the areas are kind of explorable, but it's not in that it's not one big open world where you can just, like, roam around freely. You do somewhat have to, there are levels, and it is somewhat linear. But it's this weird mix between each one. So I would say that it's more linear than non-linear. So yeah, if you're looking for an open world game, this is not really it. There really isn't any story to it. You kind of just go to the different zones and kill stuff. It's a lot like Doom in that it focuses less on like actual story and more on the lore. There is a crap ton of lore for this game and just the Souls series in general. And I would not be able to explain it to anybody. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, so progression is nice. At the end of each zone, there is generally a boss, and that boss is different from any other boss. For example, I just finished the Irithyll of Boreal Valley area. If you've played this game before, you know what that is, probably. And there was a boss, specifically his name is Pontiff Sulyvahn, for any of you who care. And he just absolutely wrecked me for 3 days. But, you know, we're getting off point. The entire point is, like, there are bosses at the end of each area. So that is one thing to be aware of. And I wouldn't say the end of each area, more so just, like, it leads to the next area. And that is one thing that I do recommend with these games. Don't just go straight for the boss and, don't just go straight for the boss and, like, try and finish the zone as fast as possible. I don't recommend doing that. With the exception of places like Farron Keep and Catacombs of Karthus. Those two places are both a big pain in my ass, and everyone else's ass. So yeah, I don't recommend that you do that. What am I even saying? I don't recommend that you run through, like, and try and collect all the treasure. But most of the time, you do want to go and collect all that treasure, because treasure is very good. As you can see, I have a lot of items in my inventory right now. And yeah, it's very nice to have lots of items. Generally, if it's not something that's useful to you, you can at least sell it for souls. And that's the next thing I want to talk about, souls. So, souls are the main currency in the game, and you use souls for practically everything. In fact, yes, you do use souls for everything. You use souls for buying new equipment from stores. You use souls to level up. You use souls to level up your weapons. You use souls for everything. You get souls from killing enemies. You get a crap ton of souls for killing bosses, and you get a special soul for killing bosses, which you can then turn into either a shield, a spell, a bow, a weapon, some kind of item. If you take it to a certain NPC in your home place, Firelink Shrine, which is the next thing I want to talk about, your hub area. So at this hub area is all the friendly NPCs you're going to meet. And you have, like, the level up lady, who will obviously level you up. You have, I think Andre is his name, and that guy will upgrade your weapons. There's another person who's like the general shop person, and they're pretty cool. So each person is, pretty cool in their own way. They're all unique, and they're all pretty cool characters, as far as NPCs go. And you can... Firelink Shrine is one of the first places you get to, and you can go there using a bonfire, which is the next thing I want to talk about. So bonfires are your fast travel system and your respawn points. So they're generally not too common. They are a bit more common in Dark Souls 3 than they are in Dark Souls 1 and 2. But generally, they are pretty spread out. And you will have to walk quite a ways before you get to another one. And there are about 2 to a certain zone, I would say. And you'll notice if I go to a bonfire, there are a lot of bonfires where I am, which is because not every tab in the little bonfire menu is its own location. So you'll notice I'm at Anor Londo, which is its own area, because it has its own boss. So yeah, it's technically part of the Irithyll of Boreal Valley segment, but it's technically, or it's counted as a separate zone. So bonfires are, well, without them you simply wouldn't be able to complete the game. Yeah, so in general, bonfires are really cool. They do a lot of good things for you. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is for progression. Next up is graphics. So graphics in this game are surprisingly good for a game made in 2016. I see a lot of people hate on the graphics. I personally don't have a problem with them. If you can manage to finagle the camera enough, you'll see your knight's face, or their helmet in close-up view, and it does look pretty, I don't know, I guess unrendered maybe is a word. I don't know. It looks pretty low res, pretty low detail, but I think that might just be because they didn't, FromSoft didn't want to, I don't know, make that the main focus. And in general, I don't have a problem with that. I'm really focusing on what's attacking me and not, ooh, my knight looks really cool. Granted, my knight does look really cool. No bias included. Yeah, so generally, The graphics look pretty nice, but I mean, that's kind of what, subjective, objective? I think it's subjective. It's pretty subjective because, you know, obviously you're gonna have your own view on the graphics. If you just played Cyberpunk 2077, you're gonna go over to Dark Souls 3 and be like, ew, these graphics suck. But as for me, as someone who plays a lot of older games from the early 2000s, or 2010s, I guess. Wow, that seems like a really long time ago. So, as someone who plays those older, you can't see my air quotes, but older games, I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, it runs perfectly fine. I haven't encountered many bugs. However, at the time of recording this, I have noticed one, maybe a couple bugs, but I had this really weird glitch where a dude with a massive great axe, I think it was either a great axe or a halberd, he did a ground slam attack and it hit me, and I got like knocked down or whatever, and my body went flying. But that's really the only thing I've noticed. Enemies can also hit you through walls, which, yes, I know is very broken. If they have a long weapon, so like a spear or a halberd or like a great axe or a great sword, so pretty much most enemies actually, they will be able to hit you through walls and boss fogs. But overall, you are pretty safe behind walls as long as you don't get hit by one of those things. One thing I want to note is that in general, the enemies will get harder. Like, and then they'll kind of get, like, easier. So it's this weird back and forth thing. For example, Irithyll of Boreal Valley, you have enemies that are, like, all on top of you, like big knights, tall knights, stuff like that, that do a lot of damage, and then you transfer over to Anor Londo, and you get these, like, well, you get the Deacons, basically, and the Silver Knights, which I guess the Silver Knights are not exactly easy to take down, but it's not a constant enemy. I'm kind of rambling on, and I think that's pretty much it. Graphics look nice. The combat is classic From Software. Soulsborne. Soulsborne Echo. What? I'm trying to confine Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro all into one word. It's not working though. So that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like. If you guys really enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, because that'd be awesome. I'm going to leave the last couple of minutes of gameplay up, just so you guys can see, A, the end of this run, and B, just some more general Dark Souls combat. So yeah, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.